we go, uphill right-hand switchback. Here it's difficult because you can't get your foot on the rear brake as you try to swing around, and you've got a rock right where your front wheel wants to go. It's narrow, steep. The rear wheel wants to roll off the trail and go upside down on your head like Kevin did just before I got to this turn. So we're using the clutch, holding the bike up onto the trail and doing a little wheelie to pivot the bike around. And now we're getting off the bike and dragging it around because this is such a steep, gnarly switchback. And now we're good to go. Get back on the bike, and here we go. Now we're dealing with a steep uphill left with about a 6-inch to 8-inch vertical rock step right on the exit of the turn, and that's much steeper than it appears on this video. So what I'm going to do when it's my turn is I'm going to come around and get lined up on the rock, and then I'm going to roll backwards a little bit. And when I roll back, I'm going to weight the seat by keeping my feet in front of me and not pushing with my legs in order to stay as heavy as I can on the seat. And by staying heavy on the seat, I get maximum traction. And traction is what I need on this steep uphill. While it looks kind of flat here, this is really steep. And so by keeping weight on it, on the tire, I get traction, and I'm able to go right up over that little rock step and proceed. Here's 1980 AMA 500 National Motocross Champion Chuck Sun demonstrating a good switchback technique. The tip on this is to squeeze your front brake, and then what you're going to do is you're going to compress the forks and push down really hard. The rear wheel should lift off the ground, and then you're going to turn the handlebars into the steering stop and keep turning into the steering stop, which Chuck didn't do. He used his hip. You're applying pressure to the frame through the steering stop. The rear wheel swings around, and then you release the front brake when it's lined up with the trail. It can be executed on or off the bike. Now here he goes again, but you'll note that he used his hip as opposed to turning the bars to the left. As I head back downhill, the majority of my braking is going to be done with my front brake. The rear brake, I'm going to avoid brake sliding. I pulse it like an anti-lock brake. And here I keep the front brake on as I make this turn in order to keep the front forks compressed and shorten up my wheelbase. Most people make the mistake of pulsing their front brake if they use it at all, which makes the front end rise, and when it rises you go right off the edge of the trail. So again, I'm turning the handlebars to go around that turn with the front brake applied, and I'm not skidding the rear wheel. You got it. We turn left to go right. As you approach the apex of this turn, you want to look down trail and stay committed with your eyes down the trail and not looking back to the edge of the trail, or you'll go right off the edge of the trail. uphill, and at this point we have to transition to the right, uphill side. Most people do when they do the wheelie at that point is that they lose their balance because they're leaning downhill right here, and instead of transitioning as they're swinging the wheel around where the bike is uphill, they are still leaning downhill, and their foot comes off the ground, and then they do a downhill flop. The key is that you're coming around at about the 90-degree point. You need to transition so that you're uphill, not downhill, with the lean angle of the bike. Right-hand switch coming, and it's very narrow, and your rear wheel wants to roll backwards and off that ledge. And so what I use is the clutch as it rolls back here. It's rolling back. I use the clutch as my rear brake because my right foot is down, and so the clutch, I just let it out in order to control the rollback. Now that's a nasty switchback. Oh, okay, he's gonna compress his front end, and he's gonna, oh, there. Okay, now, the other way to do this is simply come out here on this pad, and then boom, easy, and you're on your way. And the best way is, whoa! Let's see that again. As Eric pulls the wheelie, he's unable to make the transition to the uphill side, and the wheel swings to the left, and he loses his balance and rolls down the hill.
Switchback. Oh. And we have a parking lot. Pay the attendant when you leave. Yes, sir. Fatigue sitting in, third day riding. As we get tired, we make mistakes. Good thinking.
Hey, Gary.
Here, what it is? You okay? Heated it up.
Yeah.
Yes, KTM. A little water will work. That'll make it work. KTM fix. If you can squeeze some out of your backpack on that caliper, it'll work. Yeah, give it about 30 seconds, a couple squirts of water. Woo. Okay, let it cool for a sec.
Notice on the exit of each of these turns that Chuck uses his legs for balance, but he does not push. If he pushes with his legs on the exit, he unweights the seat, and then the tire is going to lose traction and begin to spin. The whole idea is to keep the rear tire hooked up and driving forward, not spinning and digging and trenching the trail.
There they are.
Can make a difference. Will that be you? Join a club, volunteer, and help keep our trails in pristine condition by avoiding wheel spin, brake sliding. Use a trials tire when riding these pristine mountain trails.